Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon on this beautiful Sunday. Lord Jesus, Sunday, Monday afternoon. It is a beautiful day out there, and I'm hoping and I am hopeful that you are having a wonderful Monday morning and afternoon and right into the evening, a wonderful Monday. I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated. And we have the great privilege, the honor, and the God assignment to render hope, encouragement, and inspiration to you, our audience, all across the world. And we are grateful to God to have that opportunity to do so. Let me bring in my co-host.
Hello, everyone. My name is Takira Swan, and I am so happy to be here with you today. Happy Monday. And just let's get a day check. What number of day is this? It's two.
I can bring my paper out. It's 70.
I think it's 270. So we've been doing this consistently for 270 days, and we are so happy that you've stuck around with us. And we have a lot more in store, starting with this great guest we have today. But before we get started, I just want to remind you to go to our YouTube page, like, share, subscribe, so you can help us spread hope, encouragement, and inspiration to the entire world.
To the entire world. It is amazing the messages that God has allowed us to bring to this platform and the wonderful people also. And we're grateful to God to have in our company today, Sophia Coleman, and we are so ready for the message that she has to share for us, only because she's bold, brave, courageous to be able to share the message that she has to give to the world today. It is a time of empowerment, setting free, causing people to live in their truth. This is a message that is just, you can't do that now. Let's do this. Okay. You can't do that now. Anyway, it is a message that will really cause people to think, to really think about what they do to other people, the work that will be needed to actually make that individual whole. It is amazing that the individual that it happened to wants to be able to share her or his story. Today we have Ms. Coleman with us on today, who will speak about mental abuse, physical abuse, and sexual abuse. But the good part about it, this is the great part, that she has taken this journey to a place of wholeness. And I'm sure it's a journey. I'm sure it's a journey, but we will learn about this. Another thing I want to make sure we know, speak out on these particular topics. Many times these topics are not talked about. People don't want to share about them, but when you speak about them, you uncover whatever is holding you back and keeping you down, and it causes you to expand your life to a point where you can turn around and do what Ms. Coleman is doing. Take what happened to her and turn it around and cause it to be a stepping stone to her wholeness. And we're grateful that she's with us today. And we're going to step back from the platform and let her have the whole platform so that she can share and empower and set free and deliver and all of that good stuff, because it is happening. Thank you, Sophia, for accepting our invitation to be here with us on today. You have the platform.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Ms. Portia and Takira, for inviting me on this amazing platform. Just watching and seeing the different stories of the people who have already shared their lives and brought encouragement and light into the situations that they were dealing with just made it that much easier for me to say yes. So thank you so much for thinking of me. Thank you to my sister for nominating me, for sure, because I absolutely am very grateful, very grateful. So my name is Sophia. I am one of 4 children. My mother had 4 children. I'm the only girl. when I was about 6, we were taken from her and placed in foster care. Now, she was a single mother, although married. My father was an alcoholic. So he physically was not in the picture, although we knew who he was. We saw him often, but because of his disease, he could not father us. So, you know, it was difficult being a single mother. Imagine being 27, 28, you know, with 4 children trying to find your way. So we were removed from the home when I was just about 6. And I spent 3 years in foster care. And it honestly, I thought I was in there for a lot longer. It was terrible. I was moved throughout 8 or 9 different homes in that time span. So it was a lot of moving around. I was labeled a problem child because different experiences or different things that happened to me. You know, I was really young. I didn't know how to deal with the pain or those feelings or those emotions. You know, children, when they are young, they don't know the words to say, you know, when something is happening. So I was, most of the homes were really bad. There was one that was pretty nice. The woman, she was fantastic. She bought me a bike. And it was such a big thing that she bought me my own bike. And she ended up getting sick. So I was moved out of that home and then placed into a home that was family. It seemed like family. I knew the person. She went to our church. A lot of my family trusted her with their children. So it was like, man, this is going to be fantastic. I'm going to be with my cousins and I'm going to have all these little siblings. I was used to being the baby. So I was the oldest at 9. I was the oldest of about 15 children in total. So it was great at first. And it probably was only great for a few weeks. And then bad things started happening. We would play outside and I had to watch little kids. No problem. I love playing, right? Little. But if someone stepped out of line or they veered off to somewhere else, I started getting in trouble for if a little one almost went into the street. Now, we were in front of the house. So in New York, it's like sidewalk, a little grass patch, and then the street. So, you know, it's a lot of pressure trying to keep about 14 children in check at 9, you know, so get slapped over the head. I would get eye gouging physically on my knees in front of this person and into my eyes as punishment for not paying attention. And then the abuse was just, the abuse was awful. And I want to say if I start crying, it is not because I'm still in pain from that, but it's a lot to have to revisit that time in my life. So there were days where I remember eating a hamburger and, you know, you're holding it with 2 hands and I got yelled at for holding it with 2 hands. And then a few bites in, it was bright red on the inside. Now, yes, as adults, we might like a rare steak or something like that, but a hamburger, it looked like it was still bleeding and I didn't want it and I was forced to eat this and it was disgusting. And I was threatened if I vomit, you know, I would have to eat it. Took me hours to finish that particular meal and it just complete downhill from there. It was always a whooping, always a beating. It didn't matter what it was, a wooden spoon, an extension cord, etc. And I didn't realize that all of that was domestic violence. I'm young, I was used to being beat, I was used to being picked on. So when my mother finally got us back, after 3 years, she had met someone while we were in foster care and he seemed nice enough at first, you know, mom has a boyfriend. This is great. You know, it's going to be fantastic. And when I was still in foster care, I would go visit. She started earning time. She was working the program and went to court and all of these things. And what is that? Supervised visitation. And, so at the end of that, we started being able to stay the night and go home with mommy, and he would be there. And I remember there was a party and it was a lot of adults there, but no one was really paying attention to my interaction with my stepfather. And he would pull me on his lap and put his hands down my pants and do awful things. And we're sitting at a table with 3-4 other adults. They were playing cards and no one noticed. And I'm getting whispered in my ear, just smile. Or if you tell anyone, I will kill you. Or your mother or your brothers. Like at different times, this was, so as awful as the treatment was in foster care with this one particular home, which I called the House of Horrors, because it was horrible for me. At one point, I remember saying, I don't want to go. Now, I love my mom. And at no fault of her own, right? She was very trusting of her boyfriend, and he was very nice and sweet and loving and buy us gifts and all those things. So there was no reason for her to suspect that he was being inappropriate with her daughter, but I would stop wanting to go. At least 2 different times, I would decide to stay with my foster mother and not go and spend the weekend with my mom. And it was awful. And just to take it back a little bit, I know I have 20 minutes, Ms. Portia, so please keep me honest with the time. There was one situation, my mother was, she sent me a baby. She sent me a baby and I got it in foster care, and I got in trouble for the little kids doing something. And it was taken from me and given to my roommate. The girl, she was probably 1.5 years younger than me, and I couldn't touch it. I couldn't hold it, couldn't sleep with it. And this was, that's the toy from my mom. It was a Cabbage Patch, the kind that could suck a thumb or take a bottle, So it was a big deal in the 80s to get a Cabbage Patch, and she was Black. So it was a fantastic toy and I cherished it. And that was probably worse than any whooping, any eye gouging situation that had happened. So going through all of that and making a choice to not go spend the weekend with my mom and choosing to stay in that abusive situation to avoid the sexual abuse, because I knew it felt wrong. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening. I just knew it was wrong, and I'm sorry. I knew it was wrong, but I chose to not be there for that. So my mom got us back and we are home now, and she married that guy. She married him and she didn't know. I never spoke to her about it. I never told her. I was scared. I really thought he was going to kill me, and he almost did. Maybe 1.5 years after they got married, he was in prison for assault and battery or something. But when he came out of prison, he started visiting my bedroom. They were husband and wife. My mom worked overnight. Again, she didn't know what was happening. She worked 11 to 7. She was a nurse's aide. So, working in the medical field, those hours are very unpredictable. And I remember my grandfather passed away, and she had to go out of town for the funeral. And when she came back, she brought back little trinkets and things. They cleaned out his apartment and there was a TV. And I was like, man, I need it. It matches my dresser. It was white. But I would fall asleep watching television quite often. And that, the national anthem would play, when it got real late. And one night he hit me in the head with a frying pan, cast iron, probably about this large frying pan, to yell at me for not turning the TV off. So he snatched the cord out of the wall, took it out of the room. So a few nights later, I did it again. Okay, I was 12. I didn't know to remember to turn the TV off. I'm thinking I'm gonna stay up all night and watch television. And He hit me in the head this time with a wrench, a plumber's, like probably about 18 inches long with a large head on it in the back of my head. And now with my short hair, I can feel the scar. And I remember waking up and feeling my face wet, and it was blood just pouring. And I ran into, I'm screaming, I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And I heard the wrench hit the ground. And I went to get my brothers, and they're yelling at me for waking them up in the middle of the night. And, you know, I'm crying, screaming, and he tried to blame it on the first one of the boys that woke up. I'm like, he didn't do this to me. This was you. You were the only one here. So I remember being in the ambulance, telling the paramedics, don't tell him which hospital we're going to. Tell him we're going to this hospital and take me to the other one. Because he's outside screaming, tell me where you're taking my daughter. And I'm like, you are not my dad. You're not my father. So we're in the hospital, and the doctor is talking to my mom. She had to come from work. And he's telling her, you know, a quarter of an inch higher and she might have been dead. And I hear it, but I'm not taking in that measurement. And I had it, I love to sew. My husband tells me I'm a jack of all trades because I sew, I bake, I cook, all of those things. So I was measuring something recently. And you know, an inch is probably the size of your thumb for the most part, but that quarter of an inch, listen, that quarter of an inch saved my life in more ways than one, because seeing that measurement and actually noticing that very small amount that could have killed me that summer, I was like, okay, I've got to do things different than my mom. And nothing against her, but I made the choice to be the change that I wanted to see, because I wanted to get married still. I wanted to have children, and no matter how awful of an experience my life had been from 6 to almost 13, because 2 weeks later I turned 13. I'm so sorry, guys. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and thinking of her and making the choice to tell my story and be very, very maybe annoying to her, observant of everything and everyone that she interacts with, because I don't want to miss a sign or a red flag or something. So, you know, making that choice to be positive and choose a different route, and, you know, eventually looking to God to help me learn how to forgive, because I didn't know that people are like, oh, you got to forgive those people who did you wrong. And I'm like, no, I want to be mad and angry and give them every piece of my mind, you know, for years. I want to tell them every time I see them, you know, and couldn't understand how people who knew that this things had hurt me, and I was a full-grown adult before I even told my mom half of the stuff that I experienced, you know, but some of it she learned that night at the hospital. You know, I had some word vomit and told her everything. And she's like, what? He was doing what? I'm like, well, you know, you weren't here because you were working, not because you weren't a good mom, and not because, you know, and I've had to have that conversation with her before I started sharing my life story through YouTube videos this year, you know, because I had foster sisters who were going through it, who were being physically abused and mentally, these beautiful girls, okay, being told you're ugly every day. That starts to make you second guess how you feel about yourself. You know, I was lighter skinned, but I did not have the good hair, okay? I didn't have, you know, all of these things that would make you pretty. You know, so I had a lot of insecurities and never thought I was pretty, or, you know, all of those things affect you when you're making life choices. about this man wants to marry me. You know, I'm all jacked up, you know. So I started going to a church here in Houston, and they were asking, has anyone ever been in a domestic violence situation? I was like, not me. No man has got hit me, nothing. And then they started speaking about it, and I was like, oh my God, my entire life was domestic violence. My entire life was a sexual assault. You know, that's just how I felt. I got pregnant in high school, okay, because my boyfriend, who I trusted, took the condom off midway and purposely did it. You know, all of these things are assault, and a lot of girls just don't know. So when I went in the military, and I was in Iraq for 2.5 years, and whenever I would come home, I would go and get my girls. I would go and get a few of my foster sisters and my niece and said, look, I understand that you guys went through a lot of what I dealt with, but look at me. You can choose to do it differently. You can choose to have a life where you are protected and your children are protected. And those people who did you wrong, they're sleeping very well at night, not thinking not one thing about how bad they treated you, you know. And I couldn't continue to lose sleep. I was having nightmares about these people. And thank God that he is who he is, because it had to be no one else but him. I had to pray to take those feelings away. I was constantly in the face of the one person I thought I hated. I just knew I hated her, okay? And my cousins call her grandma. They had a completely different experience, you know, with this person. And I couldn't continue if I was going to be there. So I would go to her house and see my kids. Those were my kids. Those were my ones that I would change their diapers and give them baths and, you know, whatever. So I had to make a choice to not hold this in. And people would approach me after seeing my videos. Oh, well, why now? That's so old. Because it affected me. And maybe you feel some kind of way because you had a hand in it, or because you knew and never said anything. You didn't protect me. No one did. And no one protected those other children. So I didn't know I was over her until I went to a birthday party some years ago and saw this woman, and she came over and she was, oh, you're such an awesome this and that and beautiful. And I was like, really? I am beautiful, huh? And she said, I love you to me. And I said, I love you too. And my husband pulled me to the side. He was like, well, isn't that the lady that, I said, yeah. He said, but I heard you say it, like, because I do. Because I have to. Because I have to. You choose to love someone. You make a choice. Loving someone is not an easy thing. If you go off of feelings, you're going to stop loving them tomorrow, okay? Or in 5 minutes, and they're going to do something that's going to upset you or that you're not going to agree with. But you have to make that choice. And I did that years ago. I had to let it go. I had to get sleep. I had to have rest in my soul and my heart and my mind. Because the mind, you'll do everything you need to do during the day, but that mind will keep you up all night. So God, and it sounds really, really churchy. I talked to Miss Portia the other day. I said, listen, I lived my whole life in church, and the answer sounds very churchy, but it's true. You have to make a choice and then seek out the tools to forgive. And you can't just say, oh, I forgive you today, and not know how to successfully do that and move on with your life and truly let it go, because you're not going to keep bringing it up in a negative light. If you're bringing it up to just talk bad about the person and with no healing, that's completely different. And that is not true forgiveness. What I learned, I'm like, oh no, I'm good. But if you can't say that person's name and not feel some kind of way deep down in your heart, or get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, you know, you are not over it. And the same for my stepfather. Now, I do not like this person at all. Okay. I would be just fine if I never saw him again in life, but I had to learn to forgive him and love him all the way from that prison that he is rotting in right now, So I had to, and then forgive my mom because I held a lot of animosity towards her and I didn't realize that it wasn't her. Who do you believe if your husband is whispering sweet nothings to you and putting on such a great front? That's a master manipulator. If his actions and his interactions with your children outside of what you see, that's manipulation. A lot of people just don't understand it. And it's not, I'm grateful to God for helping me through it all, and my husband. My husband came in when my daughter was 7 and he loved her. And of course I looked at him like, are you who you say you are? Are you who God sent for me? Because I had no desire to be in a situation, in a relationship with anyone who was not going to be good to my child and love me and choose to love me with all of the foolishness and mess that I had to deal with over time. So having a praying husband and covering me, and not saying that that will be the outcome for everyone who hears me, but just know for sure that you can always turn that thing around, but you have to make a choice. You have to decide, because you're not going to be able to sleep if you choose to harbor those ill feelings towards anyone. I had a epiphany moment. Someone at work was driving me insane. And I'm brushing my teeth and I hear God say, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You do not love yourself in a way that you're going to look bad, or you're going to, on a day where you're getting real cute or whatever, you are loving on yourself extra that day. You're not going to do that for a neighbor that you don't really like, for a coworker that, might rub you the wrong way every day, but you got to love them the way you would love yourself. That is the only way you're going to have peace and learn how to ignore and push past the negativity, because it's going to be a lot of negativity. People don't want to hear what you have to say or don't want to know about your story, because for the most part, they have something to do with it. Those naysayers, those specific or particular people. So I had to learn, even recently, I put out 3 parts of my life so far. And before I released the 3rd one, I recorded it 3 times because someone was questioning why I was doing it. And I said, listen, I could have been strung out. I could have been an alcoholic. Lord knows it's in my family. I could have been on the corner selling it for, and don't turn your nose up at those girls because they're getting paid for what you was giving out for free. Okay. I could have been in that number, but I'm so grateful that I chose not to, because it would have been easy to drink my fears and my pain and my struggles away. But I had to decide. I keep coming back to that, making a choice and making a decision to not let that kill me, not let that be that extra quarter of an inch. Because, y'all, that could have been me with cirrhosis. That could have been me with HIV easily. My innocence was taken from me at 8. Okay, there was no more being pure from my husband. I didn't have that choice. So when that is taken away from anyone, you have to choose to let it go, pray it away, work the plan. You don't know, you can make plans all day and God is just gonna laugh at your little plan, but you have to choose to do all that you can to make it better for you and for your future. Because no matter what you're doing, someone is watching. They're looking for you for some type of encouragement or whatever. So just make the choice everyone make the choice. Thank you, Ms. Portia.
Hey, I'm sending you a virtual hug and a kiss and all of that good stuff. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my God, this has been so wonderful. Though the trauma in your life has been most terrible, but it's so much needed that you come to this platform to share your story. Ooh. It's been yesterday when we did the Project 365 broadcast, we asked individuals to pray because I knew your story and I knew you were coming on to share. This is something we just don't share just to be sharing. We share it to empower other individuals who've gone through the similar things that you've experienced or may be in it now. So to our audience, let me change my screen here. To our audience, I ask that if you know of anyone who have gone through any type of experience that Sophia has gone through, I ask you to share this broadcast. You have to share it. You have to share it. And it's not like, just like Sophia presented it, it's not where she just shared what happened to her in a negative way or the trauma that happened. You also see where she came out of it. And one of the components of coming out of it was to forgive that individual, because we would become bitter. We would have a lot of hate in our lives, and we would actually cut our lives short. So I want you to know that though you've gone through some type of experience, whether it's mentally, physically, sexually, or any other type of trauma that has happened in your life, just know you don't have to stay there. You don't have to continue to relive it. You can think about it, but think about it as you move towards wholeness, as you move towards making your life better. But what I believe, one of the main components of the better life that Sophia now lives is the fact that she forgave them, just like she said, they're sleeping good. But she had to release that from her heart. And she's one of the best mothers to her children now. So it's like what the enemy thought was going to take you out, it just made me stronger. I tell you, it's amazing. And before I forget, I want to thank you for your service to our country. Thank you so very much for that.
Thank you for your support, Ms. Portia.
One of the thoughts or statements that she made was talking about making a choice. That is powerful. That is amazing. You have to make the choice to do better, to become a better person, to especially if you want to have a great family, a loving family. You got to make the choice. I am not going to be what I see other families doing. I'm not going to be what I see some of my friends, what they do or how they operate in their home. That's not going to happen in my household. Some of the things you have to put your foot down and say, this is not going to happen in my generation, not on my watch. You really have to get an attitude about it, because the enemy does not play. He doesn't play at all. And we can't play with this. And one of the things I want you to know is that when these things happen, especially as a child, you have to tell someone. I know that abuser is going to tell you he's going to do this or she's going to do that or whatever, but you have to tell someone that you trust. Otherwise, they're going to keep right on doing it. So we open our mouths for other things. And I want you to open your mouth and tell an official, to tell someone that's in authority, to tell someone that you really trust. This kind of thing, it really gets to me, because usually it's an adult. I know teenagers do it too, but sometimes teenagers do it because they got the action from an adult. But if you know it's happening, you have to do what you can to stop it. Adults, you know some of the things that are happening in other families. Say something. Say something, even if it costs losing a friend. that child is going through trauma. And that is something that we cannot allow to happen in our lives. And I pray that you won't even sleep unless you tell someone. If you know something that is happening to children that should not be, you have to share it. You have to tell someone so that that can be taken care of rather than to let it go on and on. We are our brother's keeper. We are our sister's keeper. We got to do what we have to do because it's going towards our wholeness and healing. And just like Sophia said, when you're able to talk about it and not be angry about it, now her tears that came are from the memories that she is blessed to come out of. Only but the grace of God brought her out of being hit with a frying pan, the sexual abuse, and then being hit with a wrench as well. And I'm grateful that to God that she's here today to tell the story. She could have committed suicide years ago, but God, and they tell me that he has the last say. Yes, yes. Okay, 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 okay. Takira, come on in, sweetie. Come on in because thank you, Sophia. I appreciate you. And people, audience, brothers, sisters, men, women who have seen this, I pray that you pray for Sophia because she is empowering. She is uplifting people. She is setting free people because people need the truth and they need to stand in that truth. It doesn't matter if somebody else know your story. Once you're healed from it, tell your story so you can let someone know I came through this and so can you.
Well,
Takira.
I really want to thank you for coming and sharing with us and having the courage and the boldness to do so, because unfortunately, so many people have gone through situations like yours and they just they don't say anything, and they haven't gotten to the point where they can come out of the situations that you have been through and they don't have a voice. So I really thank you and appreciate you for being a voice for those who haven't found their voice yet. And the things that you've been through really, they bother me. I don't like things like that. You know, I especially don't like when adults take advantage of children. It hits a special place in my heart. But I am so thankful that you were able to come out of that and that you're able to share your story and help other people. I know that someone's going to watch this and it's really going to help them and encourage them to get out of the situation that they're in, or to be able to voice what has happened and to start that healing process. And I just want to share with our viewers, that, healing journeys, there's no time limit for it. But I just want to say that again, like, if you are in the process of healing through a traumatic situation like the ones you've heard today, it is okay if you are not where Sophia is today. You will get there. Just please, like we said, stay the course, stay on that course of healing, and it will come. I'm telling you, that place where you can think of those things that have happened and it not keep you up at night and not, make you break down. That space of healing is coming. So I just want to encourage you to just stick with your healing journey, and don't be so hard on yourself if you feel like, I should be over this by now. No, you shouldn't. You are you. Your path is your own, and you will get there when you get there. And one thing I really like that you said that, made me think, and you said, you know what, the people who have offended you or hurt you and abused you, they're sleeping fine at night, so you have to make that choice to go on that path of healing. And I just want to reiterate that, guys. Listen, I can tell you probably about 8.5 times out of 10, that person who has done you wrong is not thinking about what they've done to you. So don't let it eat you alive. Don't let it destroy you. And God will deal with them and just don't even worry about that. It's time to make it all about you, your healing, your process, you living the best life that you most possibly can, and living a great life in spite of the things you've been through. You don't have to be, a negative product of your situation. Like that those situations don't have to form you and make you, an unhappy person. Happiness is yours. You deserve it. You are worth it. You are worth the process of healing. I'm telling you that now. Just like Sophia has made that choice, like, wait a minute, I'm awesome. I'm not this, I'm not that. The things that you've said are not true. That is the same for you, okay? There's nothing that's more special about Sophia here than it is about you. You are worth that same love, just like she is. You're worth that same love, that same care, and it all starts in here, and it starts in here, okay? And she's a great example to show you that it is possible. So if you are just, feeling down and out, like I cannot get through this, or you've already been through it, like I just can't get over it, I'm telling you, don't give up. It's happiness at the end of the tunnel. You just gotta want it. And if you want it, I'm telling you, you can have it. Because you can want something and be like, oh, I can't get it. No, you can get it, okay? You can have that happiness and that peace that you want. That peace, I'm telling you, you are worth it. And I just want to say that to our viewers. And also, just one more point. When you said, a lot of times if people see something, they don't say anything. I don't want anyone that sees this from now on, like if you see something that doesn't seem right, it is your business. Because it's like, oh, that's not my business, or that's a family matter. Okay, well, guess what? I believe that God had you see that for a reason. You could be that child or that person, that teenager, that woman, that it doesn't matter. You could be their way out. Like you have the authority to help change someone's life for the better. Don't just see something happening and saying, well, I'm not going to get in it. I don't want to. Because what if that was you? You would want somebody to step in and get in it and say, hey, this don't seem right. Let me see if I can help in any way. So I just want to encourage people to say something if you see anything. Don't just stand by the wayside, because we really need each other. I'm telling you, we need each other, and we can definitely change some lives here.
We definitely can. We definitely can. And Sophia has helped to do that on today. Sophia, would you like to share the information about your YouTube channel?
Yes. So I have parts 1, 2, and 3. I'm not finished telling my story, but parts 1, 2, and 3 can be found just by searching YouTube, Sophia's Life, part 1. I will put the links in the comments on this live right here in a few moments, right after we end. I've also, listen, when you said I came out, I wrote a book. I wrote a children's book last year, and it is about death, okay? But it's not a morbid story about death. It's literally just a conversation that I had with my daughter when she was 4, my oldest daughter when she was 4, because she couldn't understand why, if we said Auntie went to heaven, she was in that box. So that was the conversation we had, and it is on Amazon. But yeah, happily married, 3 children, grateful, and just ready to continue to move forward. So look out for the YouTube links on here, and I will share it again with Miss Portia so that you all will have it.
Okay, great. Now, did you give us, I might have missed it, did you give us the title of your children's book?
I did not. It's called Going Up Yonder, the story of going home to be with the Lord.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Now to our audience, if you are in need of speaking with someone, or more so, you may want prayer, email us at info@trophyoflife.org. No, that's my personal one. Let's do info@trophyoflife.org. That's right. That's it. info@trophyoflife.org. One more time, info@trophyoflife.org. Okay. You can also reach me at Portia@trophyoflife.org. But for prayer or referral as to who you can talk to, we're not just going to leave you hanging, but we want you to get help. We want you to be whole. We want you to be healed. All right. And we definitely want you to have a great life. Okay. So we're going to leave you for today. Thanks again, Sophia. I so appreciate your time, your boldness, being brave and being courageous. Look, matter of fact, give your husband a shout out. Give your husband a shout out, girl.
To my boo thing, uh, to my husband, Mr. Dadrian Coleman Sr. I just thank you for being encouraging and for sacrificing sleep, and just giving your time and energy to support me in my story, telling of my story, and stepping in for our daughter when she needed, for sure, a positive male role model in her life that she chose, asked to call daddy. So I thank you to my children's daddy. And I love you so much. I choose to love you for the next, what do we have, 64 more years? His grandparents were married for 69 years, so we trying to make it there. So I just thank you so much, and you will always, always, always be my first. And thank God for him giving you confirmation for me to continue telling my story.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're done for today. We shall see you on tomorrow, bringing someone else to this platform of Project 365 who has a message of hope, encouragement, and inspiration. God bless you, and we will see you tomorrow.